Senator Black, Ontario, suivi du sénateur Boisvenu.
Thanks very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, at this time of year, many small towns and rural communities would normally be preparing for fairs and exhibitions. These fairs really are the fabric of many rural communities. Not only do they highlight local industries and agricultural products, but they also contribute greatly to the local economy, provide employment for youth, and contribute $2.9 billion annually to Canada's GDP. According to the Canadian Association of Fairs and Exhibitions, approximately 1 in 10 fairs will not be able to recover from this pandemic and will have to close the gates forever unless support is provided. An additional 5 in 10 fairs are uncertain about their futures, again, the result of the pandemic. What is the government doing to ensure that these fairs, exhibitions, festivals, and agricultural societies will survive this very difficult year?
I think it's fair to say that that many Canadian organizations and many Canadians are significantly impacted as a result of the pandemic. I know that in many sectors, including in small towns and large cities, that gatherings of multiple people are going to be not possible. Those are going to present very real impacts. We are going to need to think about the impacts across our entire economy. They will be in many different places. We're trying to put in place measures first and foremost to protect people, and as you've heard me say, to think about how we can support businesses through credit availability, and then we will need to think about whether there are specific interventions required in particular sectors. That will be the subject of continuing work. I don't have anything to announce today, but we certainly understand the challenges.
Thank you. I have a second question. There are many family farms across Canada who don't have employees, farms run by 1 or 2 individuals, in many cases husband and wife teams. As a result of the pandemic, they've lost market opportunities in full or in part. They are right now making business decisions with respect to planting, breeding, and selling their commodities that have long-range ramifications within their operations, yet they don't want to take on extra debt that might be available through the FCC program or banks. What can these producers, operators of Canada's small family farms, expect from your government in order to ensure that they don't experience a final nail in the coffin for their operations?
Well, in a sense, this question is like your last question. There are people across the country who are finding themselves in difficult situations. Farmers are certainly among them. Some of them will have had that 30% reduction in revenue. Many of them won't, but to the extent that they have, they will also be able to have the wage subsidy. To the extent that they find themselves not able to employ the people that they were employing, then they may be able to go on the emergency response benefit. And for those that make themselves take advantage of the credit available through Farm Credit Canada, that will be helpful. But I'm sure there will be other things we'll need to consider. We've looked at a number of things in the food area to ensure our food security, and we'll be continued to focus on this area. Obviously, it's even more important during a time when food security is so much more critical.
Still have a minute.
And my final question centers around the internet and access to the internet in rural and remote northern Canada. Your programs focus on applications through the internet. How are you supporting those folks that don't have access to high-speed or accessible internet that can help them to apply to these programs?
We recognized up front that this is a challenge with our approach. Not everyone has access to the Canada Revenue Agency for this emergency response benefit. We found that about 70% of Canadians were on direct deposit, which is positive, which is probably something of a proxy for those that have online access as a minimum base. What we then decided to do was to significantly augment the in-person telephone capability, so people could have access to in-person capability. We know that's imperfect, and we're trying to build the capacity, so that capacity is coming from the Employment Insurance System group, from the Canada Revenue Agency, remembering that a lot of those people, because we've deferred taxes, there's some capacity there that would normally have been doing other work. and we've stood up some separate teams of call center people as well. So there will be challenging times with the volumes. We understand that, but we're going to try and support people through it.
Thank you.